I've drawn a big red point, and I've assigned some attributes to it, its size and its color. Now, let's say I wanted to make a whole bunch of of objects just like it, but then I don't want to have to write stroke, weight, stroke, and all the various code that goes with that. I could define like an object and then be able to call it. And to do that, I'm going to use a function. Now, I've talked about functions before, like a draw function, different types of functions. Well, now I'm going to show you how you can make your own function. Okay, and the way you would do that, var, like everything else, we're going to name our function, okay, and what this will do is draw a point. Okay, very, very, very simple. And then we'll say equals function, and then we have some parentheses and some curly brackets. This will be followed by a semicolon to say that that's the end of the function. And let me just open that up a little bit, tab in. Okay, now I have my function. Okay. And what it's going to do is, let me drag this right in there and tab it over. Let me show you something else. If I have this selected and I want to put it over to the left, I can Shift Tab and it'll move the whole line at one time, like that. So I want to draw this point, and I have it defined in a function. Now to draw the point, all I have to do is call the function. Draw a point, and with some parentheses, and there, it draws the point. So I could, put some random value in there, random from 0 to 400, or screen width, either way. And I'm gonna copy that over this bit there. So now I can call my draw point as many times as I want call my function, and it will draw a random point. Okay, I don't have to use a random number. I can specify a number, and the way you do that, that's what this bit here for, the parentheses. You can define some parameters that you can pass to the function. And I want to use the points x and y values here. So I'm just going to say x and y. There, we know that my function expects an x and a y value, right? And then to use this value, let me do this real quick here. I could be doing this where I have a variable var, right? We're familiar with using a variable for, say, my x position here. Ball x equals, let's say, 200, right? So I could put my ball x in there like this, right? There. That will pass this variable, use that value here, right? Now, when I'm using a function, instead, I use what's called an argument, or some people call it a parameter here. And you see how it kind of turns light blue, indicating that that's a parameter name to the function. I can take x here and put it right there, okay? And now whatever value I put inside the parentheses when I call the function will be passed to this value here. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to call my draw point function. Inside there, I'm going to pass it my x value, which is, say, 200. And I can pass also a y value, 200, 200 there. I am passing in a couple of values. It used my x value right there. To use the y value, I'll just replace this with the argument. See, so now it's drawing my point at 200, 200, or I could specify any position on the screen, right? It's no longer using a variable. This is now obsolete, you see. Now instead I am passing an argument to the function, see, and then it can use that argument in place of where you would normally use a variable. you see. So here I can now draw a point here, here a point, there a point, everywhere a point, you see, 20 there. So I could pass any arguments into the function when I call it. Okay. So also, let's see here, I could declare an argument for the size. Here it's okay to use size because I'm not declaring a variable called size and trying to overwrite something, and I can use it as an argument name. Although probably not smart to do things like that. We know that size is a reserved keyword. We don't want it to get confused down here as to which size, so I'm just going to not use a reserved keyword. There. Okay, so now it expects a third argument, right? An argument for the size. Oops, I forgot the comma. Bang. So there, I've drawn a dot at 150, 200 at the size parameter that I'm passing to the stroke weight. See? So now the other one I could make much bigger, like that. See? Okay, here I have a color. Okay, let me show you how to define a color variable. I could say var, whatever variable name, I'll just call it my color, equals color, and then when I hit the first parenthesis, I have a color in there. I can assign any color value to this variable here. So I could now take that variable and put it right in there, ink, see, and it will assign the color value that I have stored in the variable now, right? So in much the same way, I can pass a color value in here. I'm just going to say color, like that. And now here, all I have to do is pass the value in as a color, like this, using color instead of fill or stroke, you see. And that will, here, I can pass a color parameter. See? So that's saying to make this orange, right, when I use this argument. So I no longer need this variable. I can replace it with the argument. Now I'm passing a color in there as well. You can see this one doesn't have a color yet, so I'm just going to copy this bit of code here and paste it right there. Now they both have the same color. I can click on here, select a different color. See, so in that way I can pass arguments to the function. See, and it will execute whatever I tell it to do. I will call the function, pass those values in, and use them wherever I've defined them. Okay. Another thing a function can do is return a value. Okay, so let's say I'm just going to keep this really simple. I'm going to have a function that can add two numbers, whatever, add two numbers. Okay, no big deal. Okay, and it's going to take a couple of arguments there. It's going to take number 1 and number 2. Okay, so in here I can say take the value. One way to do it would be var equal hello, whatever, equals hello. There, I've declared a variable in there, equal var, var hello. There, declared a variable in there, and I'm going to say that hello equals num1, the argument that I'm going to be passing to the function when I call it, equals num1 plus num2, semicolon, there. Okay, so now when I call this function here, it is going to take those two values. Let me call the function like that. It's going to take any two values that I pass and add them together. So I'll say what is 2 and 3. Okay, it's adding it up, but it's I'm not getting the value yet. So what I can do is return the value like this. Return hello. Okay. Now what's going to happen is when I pass, when I call this function, it will become the value that it's returning. Allow me to illustrate. So here I can go print line, and then inside the parentheses, I'm going to call this function. I don't need the semicolon in this case. I'm going to X that, Control X, and then in here, call the function, you see. And so now the function returned a value of 5, you see. I called this function. I passed 2 arguments or parameters to it in the form of these values that get renamed to num1 and num2, and then within the function I can use those values. Now there, I kind of did this the long way. I could really simplify all of this. I don't really necessarily need to go declare a variable. All I have to do is say return num1 plus num2. There. Whoops, I got one too many semicolons. There. So if I want to add 1 plus 3, I get 4. You see? If I want to add 10 plus 3, I get 13. See, it's taking the values that I push over here to that function, and what comes out of it is whatever value is returned. Like I could say here, return 6. There. So it'll always return 6, and ignore whatever other stuff, Okay, so that is how to make a function, a multi-purpose function that can do many different things, how to pass arguments or parameters to the function that it can do things with, and how to return a value. So that, like for instance, I could make a function that converts Fahrenheit to Celsius. See, and I could put 32 in there, and it would return 0. You see, there you go, and it's a reusable function. We're just going to call this function, and you can make a spin-off and save it, or if you've started from a new program, just save that as function. Save.